Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Crow, multimedia editor at Progressive Grocer. Welcome to Top Women in Grocery, a podcast focused on the topics, trends, and interests moving women forward in grocery retail. We're spotlighting extraordinary women in the grocery industry who have had successful careers and interesting lives, and who are also making a positive impact in their workplaces and in their communities. As we make our way through this year's Top Women in Grocery Awards cycle, we have a very special episode of the podcast today. I'm here with Ashley Flower, Manager of Public Relations for Carlisle, Pennsylvania-based The Giant Company. Ashley is a 2021 Top Women in Grocery Rising Star honoree and was also among our 2023 class of Gen Next Award winners. She's integral in the TWIG nomination process at her company, and I'm here to talk with her a little more in depth about that process and hopefully give some inspiration to those of you still considering nominating someone or yourself for an award this year. Ashley, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thanks, Emily. Excited to be here and to chat a little.
Wonderful. To start, tell me a bit about your position with Giant and how you've come to be involved with the Top Women in Grocery program.
Sure. So I've been with the company since 2018, primarily media relations. So a little bit of everything. I think the comms folks listening in will know that it's kind of a wide net, and a lot of things fall our way. But day to day, we do a lot of media relations. We help with executive communications. We oversee our LinkedIn page, things like that. And then recently, we've played a greater role in our recognition work for awards, both internally and externally. And so certainly the TWIG awards fall under that.
Wonderful. So, when it comes to choosing which associates you're going to nominate for a Top Women in Grocery award each year, what specifically are you looking for?
Yeah, so it's really a fun project to get to work on. I love it. It's a big project. And each year we seem to have more and more awesome women to celebrate and nominate. It starts at the top with our leadership team. And that's not just the C-suite, right? It's the expanded leadership community that we have. And they really work on who the nominees should be from each functional area. What are they working on? What makes them worthy? What special projects, above and beyond? How are they serving our teams, our customers, our communities? And they put together a slate for us. And once there's alignment on that, it kind of comes my way. And I work closely with the talent team to investigate, interview, have a little fun getting to know all of the women. Some of them I'm already working with day to day, but then there's a lot. We're an organization of 35,000 team members. And we have so many incredible stories out there and people doing great things. So I kind of learn a lot as I go through the process with them.
That's great. And I know as a team, we've always said, look at Ashley's nomination forms. They're wonderful. You tell a great story. So, as far as the nomination process, you said you kind of get to know the nominees. How else do you gather that information and decide what's important to include on that nomination form?
Yeah. So when we think about TWIG and the stories we want to tell through our nominations, it really starts with the form you all provide. We use that as our base and we kind of modify it, make it friendly for our teams to use with our systems. But then we put some prompts in and we help them thinking because I think if you've ever been nominated or you're working on a nomination, some people are a little humble, they're a little uncomfortable about
Yeah.
bragging, but this is really the time to shout about what you're doing. And it's okay, right? We've tapped you as our nominee, and that's what we want you to do here. So we pull together that form, we send the prompts out, we give them examples of things to think about. We tell them to pull their performance reviews. We tell them to talk to their supervisor, talk to their co leadership team in the store. What are words that they would use to describe them? Things like that. And we ask them to just kind of do a brain dump, right? So fill it out, put whatever you think might make a good nugget of information for your nomination, and then send it to us. And that's where my team will jump in, and we're the ones kind of polishing, finding the threads. What are the common themes? What are the stories they should be telling? How do we make some consistencies across all of the nominations? We submit anywhere from 15 to 2 dozen
Yeah.
nominations, in a given year. It's a little bit fluid, but we want some consistency to sound like the Giant Company across all of them. So we help with that. We've even sat with nominees and done an interview, right? So often I'm on the side where I'm answering the questions. It's really fun for me to poke and prod and get them to tell me things. And the conversation, once they start talking with me and the ideas start flowing, it's not uncommon for them to come back and say, "Oh, I thought one more thing," or "How about this?" or "How do we make this
Yeah.
a part of it?" And maybe they don't know right off the bat that it's something that we can turn into a proof point for their nomination.
Yeah, I like that you said little nuggets of information and proof points because I think that's so important as we're looking at nomination forms to have things that we can pull out and say, this is important. This is something that really shows what this person has done in the past year.
Yeah. And, TWIG, you kind of hit it earlier. It's all about innovation and
Yeah.
impact and how are they leading. And there's no one size fits all bullet. So even if we have, two store managers from the same region
Yeah.
across the company, they've all done different things. Sure, their day-to-day responsibilities are very similar, but they all have approached their work and their teams and their community service in different ways. So while there are some similarities in how we talk about, positions in the company within each nomination, they're
Mhm.
all very different stories. And you never know what one is doing that might make a really great story.
Right. And it's all about that impact. How are they impacting, their communities, their people that they're working with, their teams, everything.
Yeah, it's got to be measurable, right? So
Yes.
while we don't include competitive or, top secret information in
Hmm.
these, we do try and always weave in impact. So maybe it's volunteer hours, or maybe it's fundraising totals, maybe it's the number of promotions on someone's team
Hmm.
the past year or since they were last nominated. So we always try and, put the story out there, but show its impact at the end of the day. We know there are so many nominations submitted across the industry. There's
Oh
so
my
much
goodness.
talent
Yes.
in the grocery industry. I don't have to
Yep.
tell you that.
No.
I think
I think we had
each
1,500 nominees last
yeah,
year.
it's
Yeah.
incredible
Yeah.
each year. So as ours increase year over year, it's no
Hmm.
surprise overall, all of the great companies in the
Right.
food retailing industry are, submitting all of their candidates. So we really want ours to stand out and be unique so that, maybe you give them a second glance and maybe they make that final cut. So
Wonderful. So you kind of touched on this a little bit, but how do you use the information, from your interviews, from that brain dump that your nominees have done to tell the story of your associates and why they deserve to be chosen?
yeah. So it really, we spent a lot of time reading through the submissions. And actually, that was part of my morning today.
Oh, wonderful.
We're working on them.
Good timing.
Deadline is coming.
Yes.
So we really comb through and we see what's there, what jumps out to us. Each year when we get the nominations in, there's always something that pops out, right, as we're
Mhm.
reading them, and we kind of find our hook. And then we build out the rest and we fill out all the other parts and pieces. But it's pretty easy to identify what the line will be throughout. So we will go back, we'll ask for more information, help us expand on this. Like I said, we'll offer to sit down with them and talk to them live. We also work with their supervisors. So part of our
Mhm.
internal process is once we have a solid draft, we share with their supervisors to say, hey, what are they missing? What might you add? What's something that hasn't come through strong enough? And maybe that's the reason why you've nominated them. So it really helps having different perspectives, what I know about the team members, if I happen to know them, what they're reporting, what their supervisors are reporting. So we really, at the end of the day, walk around with a comprehensive nomination for these people.
That's wonderful. I love that you also mentioned the common thread because it can be so important to tell a story, but also to have those measurable impacts and the things that they've done to make that difference.
Might be a little bit of my comms background weaving in, jumping in, but I think that's really helpful. My job day to day
Yes.
is to tell stories.
Yes.
Um, and this is a story we're telling about our team members, the great work they're doing, the impact they're making. Um, So it's kind of a natural fit, and I really, like I mentioned earlier, I love working on this and
Yeah.
getting to know team members. And I think this year our nominee slate, I didn't recognize half the names, which was great. So I'm
That is
I'm
great.
learning along the way, and we're seeing some new names come through. And as our talent grows and develops here at the Giant Company, this is just one of the ways we're able to show what a career here is like and what opportunities there are and how we value the contributions that some of these women have made for years and years and years here. So
Yeah.
it's a fun project and very rewarding, I'd say.
Definitely. It's rewarding just to be a judge and to see what everybody is out there doing. It's so inspirational.
I can only imagine your
Yes.
side of things and all the
Yeah.
great stories. And you must have an endless, you know, source of inspiration for podcasts for,
Absolutely. For
yeah.
stories, for everything. It's so great.
And we do actually, as I'm working on the nominations, we use a lot of what we find out. It sparks stuff within us and our team, like, oh, that's a really cool internal story we might want to tell, or maybe we bring that into a business meeting or it's a
Yeah.
LinkedIn story or something
Yeah.
like that. So it kind of helps me in multiple ways, but it's
Yeah.
really great for generating ideas and content for us to use as well.
Definitely. So why else is it important for the giant company to participate in the TWIG program? I know, your company has been a part of it for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, we really enjoy being a part of the TWIG Awards. There's so much talent in the industry, and we're fortunate to have so much talent within our company day to day. Some of the team members have been here for years, some are newer team members, but it's really a way for us to recognize, to say thank you, to celebrate them. It's a pride point, right? For so many of our
Oh
team
yeah.
members, I get to see them when they're notified that they've been selected by leadership and
Yeah.
they're on the radar for such a stellar award, something that is so competitive. I always tell people that, like, you don't know,
Mhm.
we put
Oh
through a
my goodness,
slate, but there
yes.
are dozens and hundreds of other nominations coming
Yeah.
through. So you're like creme de la creme, top of the
Yes.
list. Uh, so it's really a great tool that we have for recognition, for thank you, and it's just it's tradition. Like every year, I know it's
Mhm.
coming, and I see the the alert saying now open, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
guys, let's get started. Let's start thinking because February 28th will be here before we know it.
Very quickly, yes. Well, that's all been wonderful information. Do you have any last advice for potential award nominators?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice is to start early,
Mhm.
plan, really build a timeline, communicate clearly with the partners you're working with. I mentioned earlier, it starts with our leadership team, but we
Yeah.
also work closely with our talent team. And then reaching out to our nomination slate. Like there's a lot of steps involved. So planning, clearly communicate, take every ounce of time that you guys give us
Mhm.
to prepare our nominations and to get them, tip top shape. Um, don't be afraid of asking questions or pushing for more if you know there's a story there and someone's maybe just a little reserved or a little humble. That's our job. And I always tell them, like, let me do the bragging for you. This isn't
Yes.
you having to do this. Like, that's my job. And I'm here to shine a spotlight on you and your work. And
Yeah.
yeah, so those are just a few of my tips. And every year I learn something going through the process and how we can make it better. And I hope everybody would say the same, that it gets better and better each year on our
Yeah.
side. So
Wonderful. Ashley, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and for being here with me today.
awesome. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed our chat. And good luck to all the nominees and nominators out there.
Yes, absolutely. Progressive Grocer is currently accepting top women in grocery nominations for 2025, and the deadline to enter is February 28th. Head over to our website to learn more about the nomination process and to fill out nomination forms. And for more information about the Top Women in Grocery podcast, please visit www.progressivegrocer.com/podcasts. You can also subscribe to this series wherever you typically listen to podcasts, including on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Finally, if you have any ideas for a Twig podcast topic, I would love to hear from you. Send me an email at ecrow@ensembleiq.com. See you next time, and thanks so much for listening.